MTN SME Hub. Link to growth. Link to success. Link to the ultimate resource for business advice and insights.
Welcome back to the Big Small Business Show. In studio with us today, we've got Darlene Menzies. She is CEO of FinFind, and we've been talking about all things finance, how to become financially literate, how to become funding ready, and we spoke about the mismatch between all the people who require funding and all the people who are supplying that funding. Now, you've put together a research document. It's called the South African MSME Access to Finance Report. Just talk to us, what is this report? Is it available for us to access, to learn from, etc.? So tell us about the report.
Yes, sure. Alan, I think we all know that access to finance is a major challenge in the country for small businesses. And if you look at the context of the report, corporates are shedding staff and government is saturated. And so we know the jobs are going to come from MSMEs, micro, small and medium enterprises. The challenge is, why aren't they getting funding? And the sector is not growing sufficiently. So data is always, you can't hide when there's data. And so we have collected a lot of data, about 1.5 million SMEs over our 10 years. And what we do is we take 10,000 MSMEs as a sample, and we give that to an independent research company to actually firstly map against other credible samples in the country to show that this data is representative of the country. And then we just start analyzing it. The unique thing is, it's not just the seekers of funding we have, the MSMEs applying, but we've got all of the funders in our database. For this report, 315 funders, 605 products, debt, equity, grant, etc. And so what we do is we start unpacking, what are these products, who's offering them, what is the qualifying criteria? And then we look at the MSMEs. Who are they? Who's applying? Why are they wanting funding? And we create a landscape picture. Now, of course, because you've got supply and demand, you can draw some conclusions around supply and demand. And then we put it out to the public for free, because we believe that it's very important that MSMEs themselves, but all of the stakeholders in the market, including government who's doing regulation, policy, etc., people building programs for SMEs, should be working with the actual things that are happening in the data, not just surmising what is happening. So very simply, www.accesstofinancereport.co.za. You can download the report and from there get some really good insights into, whether you're looking at demographics, whether you're looking at reasons for funding, what are your medium or your average funding requests, who are the funders, where are the gaps. So that's what we just believe it can start to solve some of the issues. And it's not only for funders. You have people building a development program for SMEs. Well, where are the challenges and where should we be aiming them?
Darlene, what comes across when I speak to you is like this intense passion for what you do. Where does that come from? What's your personal story and a connection to this?
I love to chat about this. I liquidated 3 times in my journey to learning how to build a successful business. So I was a teller in the bank, never went to university, went over into IT, and then got involved in non-profit organizations, and then in 2004 started my own software development company. And I could sell ice to Eskimos. I had good developers, but the cash flow was very lumpy, and I kept getting myself into these holes. And I realized I didn't understand finance. I didn't know if the debtor owed me or I owed the debtor. I knew who the customer and the supplier was. So started off building an accounting system that entrepreneurs can understand, not that's just for accountants. Then went on to address, so every stone in my shoe I had, I realized that if I could build a solution for myself, that maybe some of those businesses didn't have to fail and they could learn the lessons that I had, and the story grows from there, obviously. But I am very passionate. I think entrepreneurs are the heroes of South Africa, and we should really get behind them in every way to make sure that they can succeed.
Are you advising policy makers? Are you in that role right now?
I am, yes. So I'm actually a special advisor to the Department of Small Business Development as far as access to funding is concerned. I work with the Reserve Bank and others around regulation, because regulation can be inhibiting as well. And like these issues around the National Credit Act and how something that was put in there to protect small black businesses initially, putting businesses under $1 million as a consumer, has inadvertently created a rock and a hard place for them where they can't get funding. So with the data, we go and the other big problem is that the banks aren't reporting at a granular level on their MSME lending. So at a macro level, they say they lend so many 100 million. So we are exhorting the Reserve Bank to make them report at a granular level so we can show it's not getting to the micro and the small businesses. So with the data in hand, and where I've given platforms, work with the Banking Association of South Africa and a number, and then the IFC do pilots with us around how do we do sandbox to show if this regulation change, it could open up a whole new market. So yeah, I find that very I love to be able to be in that place where we can have data and we can say if this regulation changed, it could change the landscape.
Earlier you spoke about, I don't know, I think you said a software or something where you'd put in, you describe yourself and I'm looking for this type of finance. Is that also what you do?
That is FinFind.
That's FinFind.
So finfind.co.za is basically a free platform for entrepreneurs. They come in, it's all done, it's all validated. So we connect it to Home Affairs and SIPC. So you give your ID number, we validate that your phone number is reconnected to that. We connect to SIPC, that's the business you're looking for funding. We pull that all through and then we start asking the questions around the business. You upload some documents and based on that, we look at those 605 funders and we say only these 3 can help you. So we're shortening the journey for them from Googling at 2 a.m. and trying to find a lender. And for the lenders, they're looking for quality pipeline. And we can say instead of those 10,000 that are coming to you, here are the 38 that match. So that's our role, FinFind.
I want to ask a controversial question.
Sure.
You know, you speak about funding men and funding women. Is there any data, I know that's at a personal level, but is there any data about funding female entrepreneurs versus male entrepreneurs?
So there is. You know, I get asked this question often because I'm a female in a tech environment. And, you know, the thing I say about entrepreneurship, it's really asexual. Like it's about, you know, how gutsy are you? How much perseverance do you have? If something's out there, you're going to get it. But the data, I mean, if you look, our report in 2018, there were 4% less women primary owners in business. But as the business grows, that number drops off quite severely. So it's about 36% at the moment of women single owners, and then it drops off radically. But women, especially from an equity point of view, when you're going after venture capital, the stats are very clear that there are far less women that are funded. But ultimately, my sort of message to an entrepreneur is that if you're running a good business, it's viable. Getting business funding is actually a way to grow your business. It's not something like you can look at it individual funding where you shouldn't, you know, you should cut your cloth. And the money is out there, and whether you're a woman or a man, if you get your record keeping in place and you go after the right funding, you know, keep knocking on the door until you get it.
Darlene, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today, and I can feel your passion, and it's truly inspiring. And I think what you're doing for this country is absolutely amazing, and I absolutely thank you from all the entrepreneurs that I know. Okay, and I'm sure you do too. So thank you for being on the show, and wishing you well to do more of what you do.
Thank you. Very grateful for being here. Thank you, Alan.
Okay,
great.
And that's it for today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed today's show. It was slightly different, but sure, was it informative? And always remember, if you think it, write it down and make it a reality.
The Big Small Business Show, proudly sponsored by MTN Business.